Welcome back to Binge Finance. We talk about growth stocks which have pulled back. Stay up to date with our content by subscribing and turning on notifications. Gaming is a huge and growing industry, and I'm going to illustrate that in a second. I just want to briefly explain what Skillz does. They provide a platform that turns any mobile game into one that you can play with other people, and they also allow the developers to create competitions. It's very simple. You can see here in this example of just two gamers. They both pay 60 cents to enter the competition, so Skillz takes in $1.20, and prizes, incentives and developer profit share would be $1.02. So they would make 18 cents in this example. They'd make 95% gross margin. This business is a very high margin business. Quick disclaimer, I'm just a YouTuber, I could get things wrong, so please do your own due diligence. Stocks which have pulled back can continue to go down. Quick look at the chart here. After listing in December 2020 at $22.70, the stock surged to $46.30 within a couple of months. That's more than 100% rally, and it did exactly what most SPACs do. You know, this huge, almost parabolic run up, and then it's just been down ever since. But we do have some signs of a bottom. I mean, it's very hard with stocks that are so young to the market to have any kind of technical analysis, but if you imagine a straight line across here, we could hope that this point here represents the low, and if the price stays above that and starts to move up, perhaps that could be the point where it turns around. But let's get into the business itself, and then we'll come back to the chart and talk about why it's fallen and what we think may happen in the future. So before we move on, let's just see Skillz' own presentation explaining what they do, and then we're going to look at the enormous market, which it is quite incredible.
What do you imagine when you think of sports? Players and heated competition, stadiums full of cheering fans, cameras and reporters on the sidelines to broadcast for the people at home, right? Bet you didn't imagine anything involving video games. Did you know that esports are a multi-billion-dollar industry that's surpassing the popularity of traditional sports like basketball, football, and baseball? But just like in traditional sports, only the top 1% of gamers are good enough to compete professionally and get recognized for their talent. What about the 99% who play games every single day but will never get to earn the prizes and fame of the pros? The 99% who are desperate for more exciting gaming content to watch and follow. That's where Skillz comes in. Operation Esports for everyone. By bringing multiplayer competitions with prizes to mobile, Skillz lets anyone become a pro esports athlete. How does it work? It's simple, really. Any developer can download our free SDK and set up their tournaments on the Skillz tournament management system to transform their mobile game into a competitive esport, so that anyone with a phone can compete for prizes and recognition in head-to-head matches, bracketed tournaments, or 50,000 player live events.
Okay, let me just jump back in here, because just think about this. The game developers get to share in the revenue from the competitions. It's such a good idea. Skillz would oversee the management of the whole ecosystem, and they just highlighted that esports and e-games are getting more viewers and more engagement than actual live sports. And you can see that already gaming is bigger than books, music and movies combined. The only thing bigger is television, but at this growth rate, it's not going to be long before gaming is one of the biggest entertainment sectors in the world. And the popularity is evident in a lot of websites that deal with gaming. For example, Twitch, the website where gamers can come and play live with each other. The statistics are incredible. You can see in 2020 they had 26.5 million visitors a day. They certainly do have good retention, and they're growing very fast, effectively doubling in size every year. In 2020, their revenue was $230 million, which represents 92% growth year on year. And their margin was 95%. And whilst that sounds incredible, which it is, they are not profitable because they're losing money in trying to grow. It's very hard to grow a tech company, and obviously they're spending a lot in that pursuit. Let's have a look at the financial statements to get a clearer picture of where they are. You can see in 2018 they made a total revenue of $50 million. 2019, 119 million, so they more than doubled their revenue, and last year 230 million. Effectively, they're doubling each year. However, their operating expenses has been increasing significantly, and you can see that this leaves a pre-tax income of negative. They're not yet profitable because they are growing and I guess investing so much into R&D and advertising. So despite having a loss of 122 million this year, Skillz has a pretty good balance sheet. As of March 2021, the company reported a cash buffer of 613 million. So that means they're well financed for the next 24 months. So let's just summarise the good points before we go on to the bad points. There's an article here by Benchmark and they summarise, the positives. The revenue grew to 83.7 million, which was up 92%. Gross profit grew to 79.4 million, which was up 95% over the prior year. Gross margin was 95%. Net loss was 53.6 million during the first quarter of 2021 compared with 15.5 million the prior year. The cash is 613 million. They've got no debt at the end of the first quarter 2021. So let's talk about why the stock price fell. There's an article on Investor Place and they point out that on March the 8th, Skillz stock was down 35.8% because Wolfpack Research released a short report on the company that argued that their top games appear to be stagnant or declining. And also, 10 days later on March the 18th, Skillz did a 32 million public offering of its Class A common stock. So that diluted the company and drove the price down even more. The thing that's causing concern is the stagnating monthly active users on the site. The active users is an important metric because it shows the total number of users the company can convert into paying users. But their user growth is close to flat year on year. Mainly their growth is coming from their current users. So the users they have are paying more, which is great, but they're not successfully bringing on new users despite spending a lot more on advertising and despite there being a pandemic. People are more likely to stay in and use their service during a pandemic, I think. So they're saying low monthly average user growth is a concern, certainly as a pandemic boost might fade away as users spend more time offline. That said, it's certainly a growing industry, so I don't think this is a pandemic specific niche. They go on to talk about the high marketing expenses. Skillz spent 96.3 million in sales for a revenue of 83.7. So that's not good. It means they spent $1.15 to make $1. That means their sales and marketing expenses rose 106% year on year. So in order to grow its total user pool, Skillz is going to have to increase their total marketing spend, which is going to put pressure on their margins. And the bottom line, they've managed to expand sales by doubling the average revenue per user, which is incredible. If you think about it, their current users have now spent double what they did last year. So that's good. They're obviously giving them something they want and they've got great user retention. The company is now converting more gamers to paying users. That's why their sales grew by 92%. But their growth is sustained by considerable marketing expenses, 115% of revenue. That's why they're not making any money. They don't appear to be growing monthly average users, which is very concerning. And they're going to have to significantly drive their marketing expenses up, which is obviously going to affect profitability. So there's a lot to think about there. It's a bit of a strange one, actually. They seem to be doing things really well, but not pulling in the customers. I currently don't own any of these shares, but I know Skillz has been very popular. It's a popular SPAC. A lot of people talk about it, so I wanted to bring the information to you now that the price has pulled back, because that's what this channel is about, and leave it with you to do your own due diligence and move forward if you want to. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.